Is this the end for Thorfinn's dream, or worse, a collapse into something far darker? Chapter 207 kicks off exactly where 206 ended, with a dynamic shot of the arrow from the Lanu bowman being fired. I really enjoy these dynamic shots and think Yukimura draws them so well to depict the level of depth whilst keeping the quality of the drawing consistent. Thorfinn uses his quick thinking to best deal with the arrow by throwing out his cloak to take the full impact of it. However, the arrow pisses him directly. I predicted either Bug Eyes or Einar would take a vital arrow in the last video, but to see Thorfinn take one is slightly concerning indeed. Of course he remains badass, pulling the arrow out like it's nothing whilst calculating the enemies as Einar and Bug Eyes watch wide-eyed. Thorfinn charges the bowman with a look of determination that certainly brings back old memories of his old self, easily one-tapping the bowman before he even has time to draw again. However, the pain caused by the arrow forces him to lurch forwards into the pincer of two spears, but as many times before, Thorfinn is saved by his guardian angel in the bushes, Hild. Like seriously, it's happened so many times now that it's somewhat tiring. Thorfinn could be fighting God himself and about to lose until a crossbow bolt hits a god's vital spot, giving Thorfinn time to react. A bam and a whack later, and the other two Lanu are out for the count, although considering Thorfinn is a seasoned warrior from one of the bloodiest ages of history, he was never really in doubt for winning this particular skirmish. Hild shows genuine concern for Thorfinn, which is nice to look at, but Thorfinn reassures her his big manly man ribs have stopped the arrow from piercing his organs. Einar rushes over to check on Thorfinn as well, which is nice as it shows they still deeply care for each other, even despite the brewing tension of ideology in the past few chapters. Thorfinn pops the self-res and tells Einar and everyone to take refuge and to warn the settlers of the coming conflict. Einar gets annoyed at this, not being a fan of Thorfinn's leadership role and taking on all the danger by himself, as Niskwa says, surprisingly sophisticated. Thanks for that one, pal. God, I hate her. Thorfinn says the only reason they are withdrawing is to avoid war, but this poses the issue of his ideology to abandon violence and conflict. Vinland was the place to go to escape the world's cycle of hate, but it's clear now that conflict is everywhere that humans are. Human nature in itself is conflictory, and the world of peaceful coexistence is merely an idealistic impossibility. The story of Vinland is meant to exhibit that peace is the primary goal, yet we have been continually let down by Thorfinn to achieve this. When there is friction, violence spawns and people die. If Thorfinn fails to cultivate a land in Vinland, then is it time to give up? I personally don't see an ending that results in peace for all, because of course it won't happen. Thorfinn will most likely die trying to achieve his dream, and that is my honest guess. Thorfinn then dodges an arrow in a Zoro-esque fashion, and he and Hild agree to split up to hunt down the remaining attackers. We then flash back to the cabin with Gudrid's labour, with Cordelia smashing on the door to get their attention. We can clearly see the struggle Gudrid is going through, which ups the tension of the incoming natives even further and does put me slightly on edge. Just how far is Yukimura willing to go? In a newfound sense of duty, Cordelia declares her intent to fight off the Lanu, shaking as she does it but standing nonetheless. This is her moment, building up for many chapters to overcome her fear and take back her dignity with an iron fist gifted to her by the strongest man of the age, a pure monster waiting to be unleashed and... oh, never mind. She just kills over and accepts defeat. What is the point of a character? Beyond being a representation of the LGBTQ community, what else does she actually genuinely provide? I hope Yukimura has plans and not for her to remain an annoying character forever, because watching her just turn away from the arrows hitting her, just letting them impale her, it's just not something I like to see. The final thing we see is Thorfinn racing to stop the violence, with the quote being, "A war that could not be avoided, now it must be stopped." Once again, Thorfinn's rage and true nature will be put to the test. If Gudrid dies, for example, and his unborn child, who would stop Thorfinn from killing in the moment? We know he's not completely shifted. As shown in the Baltic arc, he is still a human and will fall victim to emotions strong enough. But we will definitely get an answer to this soon enough, maybe even the next chapter, as the card does also say Gudrid's fate will be decided next time. So who knows, it felt like a short chapter, but as long as something of interest comes next time, I'm fine with it being another setup. All we know now is Thorfinn won't be at his best fighting ability during the assault of the Lanu, meaning the defense capabilities of the settlers will be significantly reduced. But even so, I don't see Yukimura killing off Gudrid, or even Cordelia, just yet at least. Anyways, let me know your thoughts on the chapter down below and where you think the story is heading, and until next time, Peace.